You've probably heard the story of the resurrection a million times, but there's this incredible part of the story we don't talk about enough. The high-stakes political thriller that went down right after the crucifixion, the plot to put a single tomb on complete lockdown.
And that's the big question we're digging into, right? It's a real historical mystery. I mean, why would the highest religious authorities and the most powerful army on the planet, the Romans, team up just to keep one body in one grave? What were they so afraid of?
All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the paranoid requests made to Pontius Pilate. Then we'll look at the nuts and bolts of the lockdown they put in place. We'll talk about the eerie day of silence that followed, see how all this security actually debunks other theories, and finally, we'll get to the great irony of the whole thing.
Okay, first up, the paranoid request. You have to understand, this was never just about a dead body. For the chief priests and the Pharisees, this was all about preemptive damage control. It was a strategic move to control the story.
And you can hear the fear right in their own words. They go to Pilate, and even as they're calling Jesus a deceiver, they're admitting that they remember his prophecy about rising again. They took his words so seriously that it drove them to take massive action. That claim clearly haunted them.
So here's what was going through their minds. They saw Jesus' ministry as the first deception, but they were terrified of a second one, a faked resurrection, which they thought would be way worse. They knew it could spark a massive movement that would completely destroy their authority. Their request to Pilate was basically a preemptive strike, designed to kill that story before it even got started.
So Pilate basically tells them, go, make the tomb as secure as you know how. And boy, did they take him seriously. They created a 3-layered security system that was, by any human measure, completely impenetrable.
They weren't taking any chances. We're talking 3 distinct layers of security: a massive physical barrier, an unbreakable legal barrier, and a lethal human barrier. Each one was designed to make tampering with that tomb absolutely impossible.
First up, the Great Stone. And listen, this wasn't just some boulder. These were enormous, disc-shaped stones that weighed 1 to 2 tons. That's like the weight of a small car. It took a whole team of strong men to roll it into place, so imagine trying to move it quietly in the dead of night. Not gonna happen.
Next, they added the imperial seal, and this is a real game changer. This was way more than just do not cross tape. They would stretch a cord across the stone, slap on some wet clay, and then press the official insignia of the Roman Empire into it. To break that seal was to defy Caesar himself. It was high treason, and the punishment was death. Period.
And for the final layer, the human firewall, the Roman Guard. They posted what was called a custodia, a small detachment of highly trained soldiers. And for these guys, failure was literally not an option. Falling asleep on watch or abandoning your post meant automatic execution. So you can bet they were the most motivated, most vigilant security force you could possibly imagine. That tomb wasn't just sealed, it was a fortress.
So, with the tomb completely locked down, this eerie quiet falls over the city. A day of silence and tense waiting begins. But this wasn't just any regular Saturday. It was a day with profound religious significance.
And you can see that in all the different names this day has in Christian traditions, right? Holy Saturday, Black Saturday. Each name captures a piece of the feeling, from deep sadness to this quiet, watchful hope. So while the disciples were hiding for their lives, and the religious leaders were feeling pretty confident about their security plan, the tomb itself sat under guard, the silent, still center of a story that was just waiting for its final chapter.
Okay, now here's where it gets really fascinating. All those security measures they put in place, the ones designed to prevent a resurrection story, they accidentally became the most powerful evidence to dismantle every other possible explanation for what happened next.
Let's tackle the 2 biggest alternative theories. First, there's the swoon theory, the idea that Jesus never actually died, he just fainted. Well, the security makes that pretty much impossible. Come on, a man who was just brutally beaten and crucified is somehow going to roll away a 2-ton stone and then fight off Roman soldiers? No way. Then there's the theft hypothesis, that the disciples stole the body. Again, this theory just crashes and burns against the security. The disciples were terrified, in hiding. You really think they suddenly got brave enough to overpower elite guards who faced execution for failure and break a Roman seal, which was also a death sentence? It just doesn't add up.
And that 3-day timeline itself adds another crucial layer. In some Jewish traditions at the time, a person's soul was believed to linger near the body for about 3 days.
So a resurrection after that point wasn't just seen as someone waking up. It was understood to be a true conquest of death, happening only after the spirit had completely gone.
And this all leads us to the great, overarching irony of the whole story. The leader's meticulous, perfect plan had one massive, unintended consequence.
This quote from the early church father Jerome just nails it. He basically said that the harder they tried to prove a resurrection couldn't happen, the more they inadvertently created the perfect conditions to prove that it did.
Their plan just backfired spectacularly. The stone, the seal, and the guards were meant to prove that Jesus was still in the tomb. But the moment that tomb was empty, those same three elements became the most powerful arguments that no human could have possibly taken him.
Think about it. You had the full political and military power of both the local authorities and the Roman Empire, focused on keeping one body in one grave. Their failure to do so isn't just a footnote, it's a central pillar of the resurrection account. It provides what believers consider to be rock-solid evidence.
Which leaves us with one last powerful question. In their desperate attempt to control the narrative, to silence a prophecy, and to secure a tomb, did they accidentally make the story unstoppable? By trying to prevent a resurrection, did they ensure that no other explanation for the empty tomb would ever really be plausible?